Hello and welcome to Unit 2. We are looking at organizing and analyzing data. So, in this particular unit, when we're talking about data, we are looking at arranging the data in graphical formats. We're talking about drawing conclusions and recommendations from that data, and we're even going to talk about collecting, how the data is collected. You get an opportunity to do that as well. So today's topic is statistics, its uses and misuses. So what's the goal? I want you to be able to recognize ways that data is used and maybe misused. So in order to go through and talk about data, we have to talk about the definitions. So these definitions are there for you already in the note. So definitions, the first one, and these are so that we're all talking about the same thing, so we're increasing your vocab with regard to math. First definition I'm looking at is data. So what is data? Well, data is a set of information or facts collected about a topic. So it could be numeric data, it could be about all the ages of people in the classroom, could be how many sisters they have. So data is information or facts that we collect. Primary data. Primary data is collected by the researcher, and in this unit, it's going to be you. So primary data is numbers or research that you collect. Secondary data is someone else has collected the data that you plan to use. So if I give you some numbers to work with and say create a graph, draw conclusions, you're working with secondary data. I'm the one that collected it, now you're the one that's going to use it. Primary, you're the one that you collected it and you're going to use it. Population, what does population mean? So normally you'd say there's how many people are in the country or province. Right idea, but now in math, population is the number of people, or is the group of people that you are sort of investigating or studying. So if you're looking at how many people in the school like hockey, your population would be the school, the people in the school. If you want to talk about how many vehicles people have in the town of Mitchell, your population would be Mitchell, the people in there. So population in math is specific to the study group or project. Okay, who are you looking at? So the focus, so we're looking at those people. Sample data. Okay, sample data is data that you collect from a small group within your population. So for example, if I want to find out how many people at Mitchell High School play hockey, it may take me way too long to go talk to each person. If that's the case, we pick a smaller group and then we make an inference, or we take a guess, a mathematical educated guess as to how many people do that. And finally, census data. This is when you collect information from every person in your population. So that means you would be looking at not only, you'd be interviewing everyone, or you give everyone a survey, which is great, and we're going to talk about pros and cons in a sec, but there's some drawbacks to that, obviously, if you have a very big population. So here we go. Excuse me, methods for collecting data. There are 4 main ones I want to talk about. Some people might argue that there's more than 4. I'm going to break it down as just simply 4. So face-to-face interview. This is when you sit with people and ask questions. So you're actually in a one-on-one situation where you're collecting data from a person by sitting and talking. What's good about this? You get very accurate data. This is because people can ask, if they don't understand the question, you're there to clarify. You can do follow-up questions. So let's say there's something that you didn't think of and you want to further pursue it. You can then take an interesting answer that someone gave you and take it a little bit further, and you can do follow-up questions. Okay. What else is good with this? It lets you get a better sense of the issue. So whatever you're investigating, they kind of puts you at ground zero. You get to see it firsthand. What's bad about a face-to-face interview? Time consuming. Really, really, really time consuming because you need to conduct each interview and collect the data, write it down. So it's time consuming. It takes a long time to do face-to-face interviews. All right? Difficult to do a large number of people. Difficult to do a large sample. Let's say on a good day, you can do 2 people. You can interview 2 people. Well, if you want to interview 1,000 people, you're talking about 500 days of interviews. So it's very, very time consuming. All right. Mail-in questionnaire. So person receives a survey in the mail. All right, so you get a survey. You go to the mailbox. Inside the mailbox is a survey. So what are the pros? You can survey a lot of people because you can just jam them in the mailbox and they go out. Okay. What else is good about this? Easy to get a wide variety. Easy to survey a wide variety. So if you didn't want to leave Ontario, but you wanted to interview people in BC, you could just simply do a mail-in questionnaire. Wide variety. Easy to survey a wide variety of opinion. So you can do different regions. What are some of the cons? Well, sometimes when I get a survey in the mail, I throw it out. Sometimes I forget to mail them. Mail it back. And if I'm in a hurry, I fill it out quickly, so it's not very accurate. And I should put may. I shouldn't say they're all that way. And I'll just put may not be accurate. All right. Then we look at the telephone interview. So the telephone interview, you call each person to ask questions. And when we're talking about the pros, it is very, very similar to the face-to-face interview. So I would definitely, if we're talking about good methods, I would agree that all of these are the same definition down below here. So the accurate data part, see if I can clone it. Okay. Give me a sec here, and I will get that copied down. Sorry about that. So it really has very similar pros to the face-to-face interview. It's the cons that set it aside. Okay? People are not very receptive. Okay? Ask your parents what they think of phone surveys. Okay? People not receptive. Usually they hang up. Person can't even get edgewise in what they want to talk about. So people are not receptive, and again, may not be accurate, because I know if I get hooked in to doing a phone survey, I just kind of, 2, 3, let's get this done. All right, so very, very similar. And finally, a survey. So this is a survey that you hand out and collect back. Hand out and collect. Okay. What are some of the pros? Okay. Again, you can survey a large group. Survey a large sample. Okay. And again, easier to get a cross-section or a wide variety. Wide variety of opinion. All right. Some of the cons with this process, people don't take the time. And sometimes if they not sure how to answer, okay, so they can have confusion with questions. All right, so there's pros and cons to doing each method. It really depends on what information you're trying to get and who you're working for. So, what is bias? Bias is a very, very important topic here because this is one of the major things that you run into when you're looking at data. So what is bias? It's the unintended influence. So you may not realize that you're actually doing it, but it may have an influence on the people answering your survey. And we're going to talk about the different types of bias that exist. So bias is the unintended influence on data gathering methods. It's something you need to be aware of because it affects your conclusion if people did not know or they are influenced by your answer or your question. So for example, Lindsay is running for school president in a school of 300, so very much like Mitchell. She was interested in what the results will be, so she surveyed 10 of her best friends to see how they will vote. So answer the following. So what's the population for this study? So I'm looking at what's the population for this study. The population is the students at Mitchell High School, at MDHS. Okay, that's the entire population. They all get to vote on this survey. What was Lindsay's sample size? Okay, it was 10, and it consisted of best friends. So question C, is Lindsay's sample a good representation of the school? Then explain it. So is it a good representation? No. Because if these are friends of Lindsay's, how do you think they're going to answer? So no, Lindsay did not get a variety of opinions from other grades or non-friends. All right. So Lindsay, from her results, she concluded there's a 100% chance that she's going to win. So do you agree with her conclusion? The answer is no. And the reason for that, Lindsay's friends are not the only voters. So it's great that her friends are going to vote for her, but how's the rest of the population in Mitchell going to vote? Okay, so that's still up in the air. So I do not agree with it, okay, and the reason is her friends are not the only people voting in here. All right, I'll finish up this particular note in the next video, and we'll move on from there.